purpose of this video is to show you how to use a calculator to graph a box plot. I will also show you how to use the calculator to quickly find outlying data values. The TI83, 83 Plus, and 84 Plus calculators will take a list of data and automatically draw a box and whisker plot for that data. Since there are a number of different types of plots available on the calculator, it is important to make sure that all other plots are turned off before you begin, or your graph will be cluttered with several unrelated plots being graphed at the same time. Even worse, it is possible for previous plots to become invalid, or the data sets that were used before are changed or deleted, causing an error whenever you try to graph anything new. Before you begin any plotting, press the Y = key at the top left of the keyboard and clear out any equations being plotted there. Here you can see I have an equation stored underneath Y1. I'm going to press the clear button. I'm going to use my arrow key now to arrow down and make sure there are no other function definitions down here at the bottom or towards the end of my list here, and sure enough there is one. I'm going to clear that out by pressing clear. Okay, I've done that, and now I want to turn all my stat plots off. So to do that, press second Y = to access the stat plot button or the stat plot command window. To turn all these plots off, I want to access number 4 on the menu there, plots off. I press 4. That'll copy and paste the plots off command to the home screen. When I press enter, it turns the plots off. So now we're ready to graph our box and whisker plot. There are 3 stages to creating a box and whisker plot. Step 1, enter the data into your calculator's list environment. Step 2, tell the calculator what kind of plot you want, and then step 3 is tell the calculator what size to draw the window for the plot. Here's our example problem. The following numbers represent 2016 incomes in thousands of dollars for 17 doctors. We'll use this data to construct a box and whisker plot. First, let's store the data in Calculator's List 1. Press the Stat button, then Enter to open up the calculator's list environment. You may already have data in your Calculator's List 1 that you want to clear out. So if that's the case, use your arrow keys to move your cursor over and up until your cursor is highlighting L1, and then press Clear, Enter. So now let's go ahead and enter the data in. Okay, now that we've got the data entered in, what we need to do is double check that we even entered that in correctly. So I'm going to press the down arrow button one time. This will take me back up to the top of list 1 here, and now I'm going to use my down arrow and just go through here and just double check that we've entered everything in correctly here. Okay, so now we're ready to do step 2. We want to tell the calculator what kind of plot we want. To do that, we want to access the stat plot 1. Press second Y = to open the stat plot menu, hit enter, and now we want to turn stat plot 1 on. So to do that, make sure your cursor is flashing over the word on, and then hit enter. Now use your arrow keys, arrow down and then over until you get to the box and whisker plot picture. Hit enter. Make sure that L1 is your X list and set your frequency to 1. After you've done that, press the graph key. Now you may not see anything here, so get the picture of the box and whisker plot. We'll use our zoom key. So press the zoom key and press 9 for zoom stat. Recall there are 2 different types of box and whisker plots. One will separate outliers from the minimum and maximum value. This is the modified box plot, and the other will include the outliers to the whiskers. If we want to graph the modified box plot, we need to open up stat plot 1, press second Y =, hit enter, and now use our arrow keys, arrow down and then over until the cursor is highlighting the modified box plot picture, then press enter. Then press graph and zoom and 9 for zoom stat if you don't already have this picture. So there's our modified box plot, and we can real quickly and easily find the outlying data values by pressing the trace button. When I press the trace button on my calculator, you can see I've got a flashing cursor there, and it's hovering over X = 104. This is the leftmost edge of the modified box plot, so this is the lowest number in the data set, which is not an outlier. If I want to find out if there's any outlying data values on the lower end of the data, then I press the left arrow key, and sure enough, x equals 5 is an outlier, and 2 is an outlier. So now if I use my right arrow key, I can get the rest of the 5-number summary and the outlying data values. Q1 is 125. This is the number that separates the lower 25% of the sorted data set from the upper 75%. Q2, or the median, is 163. Q3 is 203.5. This is the number that separates the lower 75% of the sorted data from the upper 25%. And now arrow over to the right one more time. This gives us the location of the rightmost whisker on the modified box plot. This is the largest data entry, which is not an outlier. To get the outlying values on the upper end of the data, press the right arrow key again, and we can see that the maximum value, 350, is an outlier. Okay, so that's how you real quickly can find the outliers and draw the graph of the modified box plot. Now, there's one other thing. If you want to zoom in, if you feel like you have a need to zoom in to try to look for outliers, one thing you can do is just press your zoom button, and you can use the zoom in tool just by pressing 2. Now, what this does is, if I use my arrow key, I can find out the location of this flashing cursor, or the cross there. If I want to move that over to, say, finding the lower end of the outliers, I'm going to just press the left arrow key a number of times until the cursor starts to move. Now, once I get this cursor at the location where I want to zoom in, I'm just going to press the enter key, and then the calculator will zoom in to that location. So now I've placed my cursor where I want to zoom in at, hit enter, and it zooms in at that location. So if I press the trace button here, it takes me back to 104, but then it comes back here to x equals 5, and then the min, x equals 2. If you want to zoom in even more to see that, just press the zoom button, and press 2 to zoom in, and then hit enter. And you can see, okay, here's the location of where our outlying data values are. On the lower end, there's 5, and then there's the minimum value. Okay, so that's how you graph the box plot, find outliers, and if you want to use the zoom tool, that's how you do it.